Order in the court, but make it fashion. Welcome back to Juris Dolls. Today, we are skipping all the small talk and diving straight into the headline that has everyone on your timeline talking.
The NAACP's call to boycott SEC schools has everyone giving their opinion, but we need to talk about the actual economic strategy behind it. We're breaking down what this diversity shift really means for the culture, short, sweet, and to the point.
It's time to separate the internet commentary from the actual legal leverage. Grab your notebooks, dolls. Let's get into the briefing.
So, the NAACP and the Congressional Black Caucus officially launched the Out of Bounds campaign, advising top tier recruits to withhold commitments from public universities in 8 southern states, specifically targeting powerhouse athletic programs in the SEC.
To be clear a little bit on the legal mechanics, this is a direct response to recent federal redistricting battles and voting rights litigation, where state legislatures have systematically dismantled majority Black voting districts. The civil rights organizations are responding to a loss of political representation by shifting the battlefield to corporate sports.
From a legal and historical perspective, sports boycotts have forced systemic compliance before. In 2015, the University of Missouri football team threatened a strike over institutional inaction, resulting in their system president resigning within 72 hours due to an impending multi-million dollar broadcast forfeiture. Economic leverage works when political routes are deadlocked.
The standard pushback is that this harms the athlete's earning potential under modern name, image, and likeness. Well, that can be a mouthful. The NIL structures. However, looking at the market mechanics, the SEC does not hold a monopoly on capital.
Right. So, for example, a 5-star recruit commanding a top tier evaluation can still secure the same or better corporate backing and collective financing in the Big 10, Big 12, or ACC. Programs like Oregon, Ohio State, or USC have the infrastructure to match or even outdo SEC valuations and offers. So, big name talent holds the leverage here. If premier recruits begin redirecting their revenue generating power to states that protect their communities' voting rights without taking a financial hit, SEC institutions will be forced to use their immense political lobbying power in states such as Alabama to protect their bottom line. Because let's be real, if you have a 5-star recruit from high school, he's going to ultimately have other offers outside of the SEC. That's just how the game goes.
No, I 100% agree with you, and everything that you've said is correct. We know a lot real well about football, especially being from the South, in the deep South. Football is literally the Bible here in the deep, deep South. And so it's something that we've heard time and time again. Tiana, I'm sure that you've heard this growing up. There's certain things you don't talk about, and that is religion, but one religion and sports a lot of the times, although sports does end up being the topic of discussion. And that's because everyone talks about how sports can either bring people together or divide us.
Right.
Obviously not on the serious lines like we're talking about now, but one thing that I hear from a lot of people is, oh, sports is the one thing that we have to kind of hold on to. It brings us together. But it just does not sit right with me, being a Black person, being a Black woman, and knowing that we have these wonderful athletes that come that play. It's a sport that I love. We've been to the football games, and knowing that they're there for entertainment, for institutions, bringing a lot of revenue, like we mentioned, into our state. But it's really harming Black people specifically, and also minorities. So I have a problem with that, and I know that we were going to get into a little bit, and we mentioned this just a little bit about how there's been a little bit of critiques talking about athletes, having to make this decision. But when we look back to the bus boycott, famously known, we realize that change only happens if we're really targeting pocketbooks. And it looks like this might be just the plan to maybe move the needle to make sure that our rights are not taken away, voting rights.
Right. And we have to remember that sports have been used before to enact political change. We saw that in the Olympics when, the winners held up their fists. Like,
Mm.
we saw that with Colin Kaepernick. Like, time and time again, we see that when athletes stand out and speak out, their voices are heard. I mean, Tiara and I both went to the University of Alabama, and I remember during my second year there where they had the Black Lives Matter walk and protest, and Nick Saban was a part of that with the football team. It brought a lot of news outlets out, and it really allowed the athletes to have an opportunity to speak out about topics that are important for them. And so I think that this initiative that the NAACP recently launched, it can definitely have some impacts in southern states like Alabama, where, football definitely, you hear Roll Tide in church, you hear it in college, you hear it at the grocery store, you hear it everywhere. And these athletes are bringing in millions and millions of dollars to our state at universities, flagship universities like the University of Alabama. And so, we understand that every athlete might not have that sway to be able to say, "Oh, Imma decline this offer and go elsewhere." But what we also have to realize is that there are some athletes who might be considering schools outside the SEC already. And so if they use their leverage, they use their name and their five-star or four-star, recruiting to get a better deal outside the SEC, the SEC is gonna have to start, looking at, again, using their political lobbying power to make some changes in our state. And so I think it's one step of many in
Mhm.
terms of when it comes to, using our voice and coming together, strategizing how to enact change in this day and time. And I don't think that we should overlook sports. Sports, we all know, has a ripple effect in society. People love sports, all races, all genders, all ages.
Mm.
They're watching. So I think that this is something that we should keep our eye on for sure.
Absolutely. And one thing that you touched on, Tiana, that just made me think, I remember that being, of course, I was a little bit older than you. I wasn't as young as you at the time, but I do remember that. And that was just such a leadership move on Nick Saban's behalf, as well as the football team, to recognize that was an important issue that affects not only the whole country when they saw the video, saw the backlash, saw the protest, but also for the black men that play on the Crimson Tide football team. And just, I'm sure Nick Saban thought, well, this could have been one of my players easily that this could have happened to. And so I think when we stop trying to make this so polarizing of it's just a Republican issue such as it's just a Democratic issue. One thing here, which a lot of people have talked about, like, why should we even bring in sports on this issue? But this is not just voter redistricting. This is gerrymandering, where we're
Right.
saying that this is not just because of political lines and Republicans are just trying to gain more seats because they're the majority and they're the ones in power. But really, they are making it where the voices, the leaderships of the Black community is continually being diminished. So it's not just on Democratic and Republican lines, because we all know that Black people are not a monolith. Not all of us are Democrats. There are those of us that are Republicans, but it's cutting
Right.
those lines of where the leaders that we had in power, the little leadership, especially here in Alabama, that we had, that's being diminished. And it's just so sad. And so when you see something like that happening, you realize that it goes beyond just redistricting, but gerrymandering as a whole, a racial gerrymandering, which we talked about explicitly through kind of our opening and diving right into this.
Right, for sure. And we have to understand that when it comes to states like Alabama and other southern states, this is something that we don't want to allow to happen. We don't want history to repeat itself. We
Mm.
don't want to see the erasure of representation of people of color, Black voters, minority voters, especially in the South. There's so much going on that is often not covered by the news. And so we need to make sure the voices of the people who are in these states are fairly represented. And right now we see that governments are trying to, take that away. And like Tiara said, this is gerrymandering. This is an issue. And, you know, this is just one of the many steps that the NAACP has, launched recently. I definitely think we're going to see other initiatives, other outreach, be launched in the coming weeks so that we can
Mm.
see some change enacted because this is honestly very, very disappointing. In 2026, I would have never imagined that this would be the direction that we're going in. So like we said, this is a topic that's very important, and we wanted to speak about it. We wanted to also get some of the perspectives of our viewers, our Juris stalls, and also people who might just be watching to learn more about this initiative or learn more about how they can protest and, speak out about things that are important to them. So we would love to hear you all's perspectives in the comments. You can always reach out to us. Again, like we enjoy educating and discussing topics like this because we know how important they are.
100%. And we're definitely going to have more of these. I think it's so important, especially in our positions, women that have law degrees. You're a practicing attorney, Tiana. So there's so much that we wanted to do beyond just obtaining the law degree, but also speak about these issues that are really near and dear and close to our heart because we understand it from all different sides and issues. Being from Alabama, knowing how big that a household name that the Alabama Crimson Tide is, and so I think when we stop thinking about it as an issue that is important or it's separate from political issues, that kills me when people say, oh, this little area in our world should not be political. That is just impossible.
Right.
Everything, mostly everything is political. And I think
Mhm.
it's okay when you are trying to make change. If you're someone that fully believes in a team that a large majority of that team is going to be made up of a minority, Black men, specifically, then you should have no problem with speaking out against issues that hurt that class of people. And so I think it definitely is something that I'm glad that the NAACP is mentioning because I think a lot of people are really scared to touch the SEC or anything to do with sports because it is such a huge name, a huge brand, and something that a lot of people are so invested in. But because it is that powerful, it really can be one of the first steps, like you mentioned. Hopefully, we'll see many more. And again, like Tiana said, let us know your thoughts out in the world. Put it down in the comments below. Let us know what you think because I also see the side of it where a lot of the young players now, they go from high school straight into becoming a millionaire, a lot of them. And so we're talking about 17, 18-year-old young men that are probably for the first time in their life establishing themselves in a way and coming into a massive amount of wealth for the first time. And they're thinking about, families and the mouths that they have to feed. And already, we're not just talking about it used to be a long time ago that players were not making any money until they made it into the NFL. That is no longer the
Mhm.
case. They're making money
Right.
now while they're in college, thankfully, so that they can provide for their families. So definitely let us know. I have a lot to say about this. I know Tiana, you too, but because we wanted to just do kind of like a snippet on this as well as other issues, but we really want to kind of get this perspective from other people because although we are kind of giving out information and a little bit of our perspectives, we like to hear from y'all. So just let us know. But that was just like a little something that I wanted to kind of put out there for all of you that may not be as familiar or care that much about sports, about the money that a lot of these young men come into at such a young age, and how it could be a very scary decision depending. But like you said, Tiana, if they are a top five, top four-star recruit coming out of high school, going into college, then the SEC is not going to be the only main place that they're going to be able to find somewhere to go and play football. So.
For sure. And TR, you had a lot of good points, and we could go on and on about this, but we definitely just wanted to get this conversation started. I know when I saw the news about it, I saw some TikToks, some Twitter posts, some Instagram posts, and a lot of the comments were critiques. And so we wanted to also look at it from a different point of view, to just see like different ways that this initiative could be successful. Like we understand that everyone doesn't have the leverage to make that decision. But what we want to do is look at it from both sides of the coin and realize that it only takes a few people to really move the needle. And so if you have the big name talent saying, we're not dealing with the SEC until they get their stuff together, these southern states, Alabama, Georgia, then I think that this initiative could be successful. And so, of course, we want to hear other perspectives. We want to have the door open for conversation. So, again, we just wanted to give a little backdrop on this initiative, do something a little different in our episodes. And so, with that, we're going to transition over to a recurring segment that we have on our podcast called the Docket Check.
Love the doggy check. And I will start us off for this episode. So, starting off always with a weekly win before we get into complaining, our motion to complain. So, for me, wow, I feel like there's been so many things that have happened since the last time that we sat down and we talked with each other and also for all of our viewers out there. But I think a win for me is just the consistency, just trying to
Mm,
be consistent, not giving up on myself. Oh, I'm sure I'll be talking about this more as we get into getting closer and closer to time because I do want to be transparent. And I know I've mentioned it on here before, but I'm still on my bar exam journey. I did not pass coming up in February, but one good positive and a weekly win that I think I'm developing through this whole season is that it's okay. It's not the end of the world. There are
mm,
other people out there like me who have gone through the same thing that I'm going through and they have become successful. And so that is something that has lifted my spirits and so with that consistency, just staying on top of being consistent with prepping for the bar, especially since this turnaround is so much quicker and better than from July to the February bar. I only have a couple of
right.
weeks. So it does
Mhm.
give me some excitement because even though I love the summer and I do want to be outside with Tiana and all my other friends on our girls trip, I do love like the fall and all the holidays that are coming up pretty soon. So
Oh, yeah.
more depressing for me to have to study then than now because I'm like,
Mm,
it can get too hot for me. So I'm glad I have this quick turnaround to kind of get through this, stay consistent. I've tried to be consistent in the gym, just stay positive, and just try to have a better outlook on life because we only can see what's in front of us and not so much in what is coming ahead, like the future. And so I'm
yeah.
trying to get better about that and realizing like the bigger scheme and the picture of things. So for anybody out there that is in my position, I feel for you. I feel for you. I really do, but it's not over for us. So I'm not going to be too sad and down on us because there's so much more to look forward to. This is just a little snippet. But that's a weekly win. Just stay positive and I've been consistent. So I'll take it.
I love that, girl. And I love what you said. You can only see what's in front of you. Like you said, you're going to do amazing things, always cheering you on and looking forward to spending time with you and all of our other law school friends in Alabama very soon. So I love that for sure. And the gym. I've been seeing you like the Pilates classes and stuff. I'm like, okay, I need to get like Tiara because, yeah, my routine is still kind of shaky.
Girl, no, but I did see a little snippet of you on social media. I was like, "Okay, she's got the cute set on. She's been somewhere. If not,
Yeah.
you already looked it, so there's no need." But I'm like, "Uh-oh, okay, she got the cute set on. She better have been somewhere, like, out working at a cute Pilates studio." But,
Mm,
girl, solid core's finna kill me. I do solid core, and it is not for the faint of heart. It is
I've
I'm
heard.
sore. I'm sore.
Mhm. Look, I hop in the gym every now and again, but Imma get on my Pilates wave, like, Imma get to it, okay? Imma lock in.
I
But
see.
my weekly win would be I've been going out a little more in the city, like trying new things, new places. Recently, I was at House of Blues in Houston, and that was a decent time. Like, the traffic wasn't too crazy, the venue wasn't too packed. So I enjoyed that. And I got to see some friends from Bama who are in the city. So I would say that would be a weekly win. My friends already had me out, Thursday, they had me out Friday. I took a break yesterday on Saturday. So, you know, just really going out, seeing the city because there's so much to do here and it's so easy to get caught up in, work, caught up in just trying to catch up on your sleep that you don't go out as much. But one thing that I always try to remind myself is that we're young, so we need to like live, experience things, go out, because now is the time. Like now, there's no time like the present. So I've been trying to be more present, more in the moment, and more open and willing to trying things. So that's a weekly win for me. So now we're going to transition to our motion to complain. Tiara, you wanna start us off with that one?
I will definitely start us out with this one. So Something that my motion to complain or something that I'm definitely complaining about is DoorDash. DoorDash, Uber, anything to do with my deliveries that are supposed to be convenient that come to my door, that are supposed to come to my door, but end up going to my neighbor's door.
What?
And Tiana, like, we're working, we're both working. So if there's something that like I really need, I'm usually not getting it until late in the afternoon or I'll forget. And so it is a little bit of my fault that my deliveries are a lot later than a lot of people's. They try to make it where it's there maybe before they get home.
Mhm.
Mine can sometimes push it to maybe like 8 PM, maybe 9
Mm.
if I'm feeling pretty lucky. But there's nothing worse than wanting like some good hot pizza because I just wanted that for a treat for myself. Or I ordered me something from like, I don't know, Ulta, something's crazy. And it ends up at my neighbor's front door in the dark that I'm not going to go get because they have a dangerous dog. I'm not walking out across the street anywhere at night, and it's just
Mm-mm.
not going to happen. And a lot of people in my neighborhood feel comfortable to still, walk their dogs when it's dark or, even walk their dogs early in the mornings before like the sun is up. I'm not like that. I watch a lot of crime shows. I'm just not gonna
Right.
put in that position, but it's really annoying.
Mm-mm.
And my mom, though, is really good friends with our neighbor. So a lot of times, sometimes if stuff is delivered over there, then she just kinda, like, message her and let her know, like, "Hey, we got." Sometimes that works, but other times it's just getting embarrassing because none of my stuff is ending up and I'm like, "The people next door know too much of my business of what is supposed to be delivered to me." So,
Right.
that is my motion to complain because, girl, I'm busy. I'm busy, I'm working. You're busy too, I'm working. I'm trying to study for the bar exam. I don't have time to go anywhere to get anything, so I need it delivered to me, and I need it delivered at my door, not my neighbor's door. So, I'm complaining about that real hard. So, if anybody from working for Uber, DoorDash, that's my complaint. If you're in Alabama, that's my complaint because 'cause I'm not getting my stuff like I used to, like I used to during COVID. Like during COVID and after COVID, it was really solid and good. You're like, "Wow,
Right.
like, this is a new way of life."
Mhm.
But I don't know if I'm just being hypercritical because I'm on a short time anyway. Like my time's very limited and restrained where I'm like, I can't do this. But yeah, getting real sick of that. I'm complaining about that. So hopefully that complaint will change or that'll be my complaint for next time we have an episode because yeah.
Hopefully they get it together. Maybe we need to call their headquarters and be like, "Hey, can y'all get TR's deliveries delivered straight to her? Like, look, I got you. Imma call the CEO up, and Imma be like, 'Hey, I need you to get this handled for my friend.'
Please.
Because we can't have your orders going missing, especially if you order food late at night and then the dogs over at your neighbors,
No, I mean,
you
it's just a
they
no. It's just a no.
yeah, that's rough for sure, and I feel you on the getting groceries delivered because I hate going grocery shopping, so, like, 9 times out of 10, I'm getting them delivered to my place, so I would hate if I had to try to track down where my stuff went. So hopefully they get that fixed for you soon.
I hope so. Or like I said, I don't be complaining because it is ridiculous. And then I have to track them down. Tracking them's never easy. It's like
Mhm.
they drop your stuff off and I like never hear them like approach to even like do anything about it. I check, I'm like, oh, it's been delivered. And then they've already zoomed off and they're like all the way across town. I'm like, yeah, tired.
Hopefully next week we'll have a better update on that. My my motion to complain is about the weather here, which unfortunately there's nothing we can do about that. But it's either real hot and muggy or raining and flooding. The weather here has been crazy. It's been raining since like it rained all last week. And then I think the week before that it was raining and it's going to rain this week as well. I got stuck on the interstate once. It started pouring down. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I hope it doesn't flood," because you could barely see the road. Like, it was cloudy, raining down hard, and it's like, the roads here, they flood bad. So in
Mm.
my head, I'm like, I don't know the areas that flood as much quite yet. Like, I know a few of them, but I don't know all of them. And I was like, just imagine if I'm driving and I run up on a flash flood. Like, what am I gonna do? I had my sunroof pulled back because I was like, okay, if I gotta climb out the top of the car and sit on the car, I could do that. But
Girl, Oh, smart.
Yeah, I would say the weather here, because even when it's not raining, it's humid, and I hate the humidity, you know? I mean, it's Houston. I knew this when I was moving out here, but still, like, it's different. Like, this is my first, spring, summer in Houston,
That's
dealing
fair.
with their weather, and their love bugs have been crazy here too. However, I've only really ran into them like once on the other side of town. So I think they just be in certain areas, but they be it's crazy. Like I've never seen so many love bugs. Even coming from Alabama, I know we have love bugs, but they have like their love bugs are something else. Like they too in love. Like they just everywhere. They just it's nasty. And I hate bugs. So
Mm,
yeah.
girl,
That's my
me.
motion to complain this week.
Wow. Well, you know what? This episode went by so fast, but I feel like it was very educational. So again, y'all let us know about everything that's going on. But Tiana, I'll let you kind of handle winding us down and closing us out for our viewers.
Thank you guys for tuning in to our episode today. As a reminder, talent is market equity. When public systems benefit from your revenue but dilute your representation, withholding that equity is standard business strategy.
The link to the full legislative brief and campaign details is in the description. So please drop your thoughts in the comments, and we will definitely see you in our next episode. Court is adjourned.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.